Happiness, just so you know, is an impossible metric to measure. It's absurd.
I disagree.
It's absurd to me that they're saying they're doing surveys on happiness.
I mean, I'm a psychology major.
If I went around the
Pretty
world,
good at,
oh well.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
you know. I guess you know.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You're
Learn how to take
misusing
a
your
compliment.
opportunity.
Learn how to take a compliment. You stood up and I said, you're a liberal. Thank you for being here. Now you're saying I'm mischaracterizing you. Are you going to go leftist on me?
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to have a look at an oldie but a goldie. It is the triple threat, the dream team of Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, and Charlie Kirk taking on some libs. The first of which being an America hater in a tie-dye shirt. Let's get into it.
I got to hold on to it for you.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so in the beginning, you claimed America's greatest country in the world. I just wanted to hear you say personally why you believe that to be true.
America is the greatest country in the history of the world. It's the most generous, most benevolent, most productive, most forward-thinking, most accepting, most entrepreneurial country ever to exist. We take in half of the world's immigrants every year.
Okay.
I've seen Newsroom, so if you're going to have that moment in Newsroom where you issue all the stats and say, but we're behind in mathematics, and so are you going to do that?
Well, according to the United
I've seen the show. Go ahead.
Well, the United Nations could give you about 17 reasons why we're not the greatest country in the world.
I've seen
according to their happiness report.
Right.
Okay, that's really good. That's a great question.
How do you measure happiness, by the way?
But here's the question is...
I'm real happy.
Is greatness...
Well, our country does have pretty outrageous rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. Is that not an indicator of an unhealthy country?
Is greatness defined by happiness? That's an interesting question. Well, first of all, when you take in half of the world's immigrants and you have aspirational, upward-thinking people, the word that first comes to happy when you think of it is, are you comfortable with where you are? When you have a country that is based on becoming better tomorrow than you are today, you're not comfortable with where you are.
Well, then why did we just lose another rank in the last year?
Let me finish.
Is that progress?
I didn't hear what you said.
What did he say?
Can you say?
You mentioned striving for achievement. That's well, we just lost another rank in the happiness report. Last year we were 17th, we're 18th now.
So again, here's how I define striving for achievement. How about, guys, how about most medical patents that have saved lives, most valuable companies, most entrepreneurs of consequence, the greatest capacity to strive to serve the needs and wants of other people, not asking for anything in return. 90 out of 100 of the most valuable companies in America are from America, which comprises 5% of the world's population.
I don't think those medical patents are doing much good for everyone who dies from.
How about polio? You think the polio vaccine helped the world?
I think opioids probably kill more people than polio, so that's a little bit more on my radar.
What is?
The opioid crisis. Have you heard of it?
You think the opioid crisis is a solely American phenomenon?
No, but...
And by the way, I do have a question. Could you name a country that's better than America, that's greater than our country?
I could probably name about 17 right here.
Because the United Nations, hold on.
Well, then,
let me say this. I think you conflating.
Are you planning on leaving?
What's up?
Are you planning on leaving?
Yeah, here shortly.
Yeah, right. So I think you're conflating two things.
Bon voyage.
You're conflating two things, right? The country being great and people not appreciating it. That's two different things. This is the greatest country on planet Earth.
Sure, if you value money.
And whether and this is what I have to say to respond to that. Whether you're happy or not is based on your feelings. Because I'm happy. I don't want to live anywhere else, and I will never live anywhere else. And nobody can judge that, put that on a piece of paper, because nobody ever interviewed me about how happy I am. So I don't care about those silly tests and all these numbers that people put together. There's nowhere else in the world that you would want to live. And you say you do, but the reason that you're still here because it's the greatest country. There's nowhere in the world you can be free. There's nowhere in the world you can be as proud. There's nobody in the world that can kick our butt militarily. So you feel free to go anywhere you want to go, but you'll be back to America, I promise. And this is one of the only countries where you can say what you're saying and say it's not the greatest and you not go to jail.
I'm not saying I'm not I don't believe it's the greatest country, not anymore.
That's fine.
But I mean, I'm not saying it's a shitty country. It's a good place to be. Like, it's a great country. It's
Listen,
just.
happiness, just so you know, is an impossible metric to measure. It's absurd.
I
to me.
disagree.
It's absurd to me that they're saying they're doing surveys on happiness.
I mean, I'm a
Define,
psychology
if
major.
I went around the
pretty
world,
good at.
oh well,
Yeah.
oh
like,
you know, I guess you know.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I'm pretty familiar.
I guess
with
you
how
know
easy
how
it
happy
is-
I am because you were a psychology major.
I'm pretty familiar with how easy it is.
I love these sorts of arguments. I majored in psychology, therefore I know how happy you are and how it can be defined.
You
What a bizarre
specifically
thing to
know,
say.
but I'm just
It's
saying.
an impossible metric.
Your claim is that
the way
happiness is
people define
difficult to
happiness
measure,
is different
and
from
I'm saying
person to
that's-
person. It is different from person to person. Some people define happiness in terms of how much success they have in their jobs. Some people define happiness by how much family time they can create. Some people define happiness by being alone and sitting alone with their cat. That's me, okay? Like, there's all different types of ways to measure happiness, so it's bizarre to me to think that they've created some mass survey at the United Nations that determines how happy we are a nation. I have to say, I'm pretty happy too. I think the people in this room would agree that we love America, and I appreciate your psychology degree you're working on.
Did you know that America takes in half of the world's immigrants every single year? You know, it's really amazing about our culture and our identity. We're one of the only countries ever to exist, actually the only country ever to exist, where it doesn't matter where you come from or what you look like or even what religion that you practice. When you come here, you're called an American. It's not the same in European countries, these countries with higher happiness index. If you come from somewhere else and you go to Sweden, they'll say, no, that's somebody else. Our Swedish identity is being here for hundreds and hundreds of years. Do you know that Americans voluntarily gave away $500 billion to charity last year? When there's a natural disaster, when there's conflict, you don't call the Belgians, you call the Americans. When the communists were on the march in the Korean Peninsula, when the world was war weary, it was our boys from Missouri and Iowa and Minnesota that went halfway across the world. 30,000 Americans died so that South Korea could exist today to push back the communists. And we did not ask for any land in return. You know, the only land we asked for was a land to bury our dead. No other country has voluntarily sent hundreds of thousands of their own citizens to die for the freedoms of others. No other country has taken in half of the world's immigrants and still be called bigoted and sexist and racist. No other country has had 90 out of 100 of the most productive companies with 5% of the world's population. And there's a reason why there's a waiting list that is double the size of our population to get into here. It's because we have a unique identity, and that identity is built on ideas. The idea of acceptance, tolerance, freedom, liberty, that you can have these conversations without the suppression of others. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
We have to take the next question, but I will say that I always genuinely feel so sad when people say they don't think this country is great, because if there's one thing, I used to have that mentality, and it's sad. It really is sad, and it's lonely, and I'm sure he would disagree because he's majoring in psychology. But what Trump has gifted the world with, and especially me in my life, is this sense of patriotism, because there is nothing that makes you feel more united or happier or finally feeling like you transcended against all the nonsense of identity politics and racism and sexism and feeling like you're a part of something than feeling love for your country. I just wanted to say that. Like, loving America is the best feeling in the world, and I hope he changes his mind one day.
So as an Australian who will probably end up living in America, or that's the goal at least, I can safely say, having traveled far and wide, that America is the greatest country in the world. And a lot of people, Americans included, will laugh at that, and they'll say they've committed so many war crimes overseas. They have a mental health crisis,
The U.S. is right in the thick of a mental health crisis.
a homelessness epidemic, a fentanyl epidemic.
It's at least 50 times more potent than heroin. People are being exposed to fentanyl without knowing it. And because it's so highly potent, people are dying at unprecedented rates.
An obesity epidemic.
14.5 million American children and teenagers are now obese.
And they can't even close their southern border.
10,000 a day last week, and nearly 250,000 encountered by the US border officials in November.
But For me, they are still the greatest country in the world, and I'll explain why. Firstly, we have to understand what the word great means. The word great refers to being large and of magnitude, and also of being distinguished, of a very high quality or eminence that strays from the norm. I mean, why did they call him Alexander the Great? Well, because he had such a tremendous impact on history.
Finding the tomb of Alexander is the dream of every archaeologist. It's the Holy Grail.
He was a precocious military leader. He was a symbol of power and military genius, and he conquered lands far and wide. America is the greatest superpower that the world has ever known. I mean, the power dynamics of the world are slowly changing. However, one-on-one, America would still kick anybody's ass, no problems. They're also responsible for, like Charlie said, the most patents, which for me is a questionable claim. Questionable in the sense that the pharmaceutical industry in America does act with impunity. But nevertheless, they are certainly the home of the greatest entrepreneurs and scientists of the past 100 years. They're also the cultural hub of the world. Where do all the biggest and greatest blockbuster movies come from? America. Where do all of the greatest musicians come from? There are some serious contenders there, but I would still say that despite all of that genius, America takes the cake. And even sport. This country, in terms of the variety of sporting events, is absolutely insane. As a sporting nut myself, I'm at a different event every week when I'm in America. Plus, they dominate every single Olympics. The last time that they didn't top the medal tally was 2008. And also, this culture is reflected around the world. Every single country that you go to, even if they're the most poor countries, they will always be wearing the Chicago Bulls shirts. They're always playing the American music. They're dressed like the pop stars, etc. This is the hallmarks of a great country. Now, if it were a competition of the friendliest country, they probably wouldn't win. They wouldn't win any awards if it were a competition for the most physically fit, nor the safest or the smartest for that matter. But all this to say, in my opinion, they are still the greatest country in the world, all be in grave, grave danger of losing that title. You see, one of the things that makes America great is that when you come to this country, there's a viscous atmosphere of patriotism. There's a real identity about this country. It's something special. But unfortunately, men like our tie-dye t-shirt wearing friend over here are becoming all the more prominent, whilst the patriotic, God-fearing, gun-wielding, God bless America chads are becoming less and less. That's a scary thought. On to the next one now, which gets increasingly more heated. But guys, before we get there, don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoy this video. And if you're getting value from the channel, you want to subscribe, be a part of the community, you're welcome to do so. Let's get into it.
Hi, I come from a very conservative family, and I have a lot of conservative friends, and but I'm a leftist, I'm a liberal, whatever you want to call me. I was just wondering do you think it's important for American citizens to value a healthy relationship between the two political parties?
Well, first off, I want to say you aren't a leftist and you are a liberal. So I think it's important to distinguish that. Leftists are intolerant and don't want to hear conservatives speak. The fact that you shut up today proves that you're a liberal and you will defend our right to be able to speak freely. So I just wanted to make that important. Don't call yourself a leftist, you're a liberal. And we love to have dialogue with liberals. And I 100% think that there does need to be more productive dialogue. We do our part by having these events, and we encourage them to invite if there's the young Democrats, we want them to be here. If there are the young socialists, we want them to be here. We want you in the front of the line, because the only way we're going to be able to have a productive dialogue about anything is if it takes place really in these sorts of rooms, in a college environment where you're supposed to challenge your ideas so that you actually know what you think.
Yeah, but what is the incentive for liberals to come here I just listened to you, my conservative friends just listened to you, and you blasted liberals for the past hour.
Leftists.
You blasted liberals. You're painting
policies.
You're painting liberals at this broad stroke of being leftists that are unpatriotic.
But there's a difference, and I said this. I said AOC is splintering the party, and there are leftists and there are liberals.
When you don't talk about the liberals and you just talk about leftists.
There's like Alan Dershowitz. That's about it.
Yeah, and in terms of the leadership, listen. In terms of the leadership, and I think that you're a sound liberal, and I think you can acknowledge this, is that there has been, in terms of a leadership in the Democrat Party, we are seeing a more radicalized movement. So we're here to talk about those radicalized elements because our hashtag is socialism sucks, right? People, this is what we believe in. And I'm sorry if we didn't make that distinction early on. I thought I did a great job of saying that if you're a liberal, we're happy that you're here. And we always say that, but I do think there is a big difference between liberals and leftists. And I said that I think liberals will eventually end up joining more of our side because we are the tolerant ones and leftists are completely intolerant.
I have a question for you. Have you ever gone to a liberal speaker that's come on campus?
No.
Never?
No,
Okay.
I have not. I read Fox News, I read CNN, I read the Times, I read the Journal. So I think I'm a pretty fair voice to hear in this.
That's fine, but there is a point I'm making here, which I would be dumbfounded. I've never seen it, and maybe someone can correct, where a liberal comes on campus and demands the conservatives go to the front of the line to ask a question. That just doesn't happen. Our strive towards civility is this exactly, having tough conversations with people that we disagree with, by demanding they go to the front of the line, that we can have debate, that we can have dialogue, we can have discussion, we can have discourse.
But
We don't see that.
But this isn't debate. I mean, when conservatives talk about how Fox News brings liberals on, they have 3 conservative pundits bully a liberal pundit. That's what happens. And I mean, it doesn't take a liberal.
There's no one that's done more Fox News hits than me and Charlie, and there's no one that's done more debates on Fox News than me. And I'm telling you, I've sat across from liberals. It is not 2 people against 1. It is one-on-one, and we have a discussion and debate. You can go on any YouTube clip, so I can debunk that as someone who's experienced it. Secondly, I'll say this. 80% of everything that is on television is catered for you, okay? Right. Let these people in the room finally hear their perspectives heard, okay? It is so rare for conservatives to be welcomed on campus. Everything that's being taught in the classroom is for you, okay?
Yeah. Can I say one more thing?
In a society that is catered towards liberals, where everything that they turn on TV is mocking them, Saturday Night Live is mocking them, okay? 80% of the news stations is mocking them, making it seem like they're uneducated, unintelligent, and from the South. That's the perspective of a conservative Republican. It's okay for us to stand up on a stage and represent conservative beliefs. And we have not been hostile, we have not been nasty, we welcomed you, we gave you an applause, and I'm glad that you're here. But don't make it seem like we're doing something wrong because we're allowing them to, for the first time ever, hear their ideas on a college campus.
Here's where you mischaracterize me, because there is a leftist media bias. So you're misusing your opportunity.
Learn how to take a compliment. You stood up and I said, you're a liberal, thank you for being here. Now you're saying I'm mischaracterizing you. Are you gonna go leftist on me? I literally handed you a compliment as soon as you stood up, and I stopped you and I said, you are a liberal, you're not a leftist, because you're here and we're glad you're here. What more do you want?
I don't care if you compliment me, I want you to listen to me. And what I'm trying to say is that there is a leftist bias in the media, and you have a great opportunity, and a lot of conservative pundits have a great opportunity to provide a fair voice, and instead they do the same thing liberal journalists do and push agendas and narratives.
What did we say that was untrue?
It doesn't take somebody liberal to see it. Everybody sees it.
What did we say that was untrue tonight?
You just painted. It's not that it's untrue. It's just sweeping statements.
No, give me a fact.
You're not giving any facts. You're just pushing sweeping statements.
I'm giving you the opportunity. What did we say tonight that was untrue? That was us just pushing an agenda.
It's not that it's untrue. There's just no facts.
Okay, so it's true. Next question.
Some people really just can't accept that conservatives have a conservative worldview, hey? I mean, this guy is so confused. He's basically saying, well, conservatives are always criticizing liberals for having liberal worldviews and promoting their liberal worldviews, and then they go and do the exact same. Yeah, no shit. That's how politics works. It's a push and pull between different groups with different ideas, and each group will make fun of the other group and think that the other group is wrong. But furthermore, this guy needs to know that if you want to come and challenge somebody like he's trying to do, you don't come and challenge them by saying, stop promoting your worldview. No, you take their worldview, you tell them how they're wrong, and then you tell them why they're wrong. Try and change their mind. Don't just cry about them not being fence sitters. I mean, ew, pick a side.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
But what I also think that these liberals don't really get about people like Charlie and Candace is that their faith informs their politics. If you're a Christian and you really do believe in the Word of God, and if you do really believe in the lessons of the Bible, then you will be a conservative and you will be totally anti the liberal agenda in the West. And that's why I'm bemused if I'm ever on a dating app, which I'm not, by the way, and I see girls who are liberal Christians. No, sweetie. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You may as well say that you're a vegan butcher. So, moral of the story, stay off the dating apps, gentlemen. All of the good ones are elsewhere. With that, you guys can find me below if you hit those links. And, of course, if you want to subscribe to the channel, that's going to be right here. If you haven't done so already, if you want to watch another video, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake, RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.